Hello, everyone. Nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. We're kicking off Monday with a fusion, or well, like a fragment fusion. We've got the full calendar now for Kro'khad the Throatripper. He's actually really good. He actually surprised me massively. So, just the amount of damage this champion is doing. So, I think this is a great fusion. And the good news in advance here, I think it also looks fairly straightforward. To be honest, it might be difficult to do the events, but it's a fairly straightforward fusion. So the first thing about it, it is a fragment fusion, which is the easiest type of one. Now there's 130 fragments. Let's just say you're not getting the 20 from the leaderboards. So let's say really there's only 110 fragments up for grabs. So you need 100, means you can skip 10. Let's look at the summoning events first. So we have Summon Rush at first, then we will have a Champion Chase tournament at the end. Now both of these and you can see, for example, 10 of those bonus fragments are for winning Champion Chase. You're not winning Champion Chase, let's be real. Yeah, they're 15 fragments each, so you cannot fully skip even one of them. You have to do most of both. Potentially, it's pretty likely that each of them will have 5 fragments that are easy to get, and then 10 fragments that are hard to get. So you could, for example, dip your toes into some Summon Rush, but then skip the later fragments if you're lacking shards and you need to save up for longer. Or you could skip, some from Champion Chase. Alternatively, of course, you could do both of these events fully, and then you could skip, I don't know, like a Champion Training Tournament or something, which you might not want to do. Or you could skip a couple of Dungeon Divers. So that's sort of up to you. For the Summon Rush, it's hard to know exactly how many points that these will require. I think he's a pretty good fusion. I will also say we know that there's an event coming that will give you a way to get Packmaster Shyek. He is the partner champion for this fusion. The fusion just gets so much better if Shyek is there. I actually think the fusion, he's so good that he's pretty decent, even without Packmaster. Like, he's definitely usable without Packmaster, but it's really Packmaster's passive, like these constant counterattacks, that I think really opens up some powerful strategies with this champion. This A1 counterattack is just ridiculously strong. He makes the A2 twice as strong. Pretty big deal. The champ's nuts, though, with Shyek. Like, really crazy good. But yeah, there will be an event for Shyek that will likely require summoning. Now, one thing I do notice for myself, I've got a lot of soul stones saved up. We haven't had a big soul event in a while. I think the last one was probably the Deck of Fate for the Demon Spawn guy, but I skipped that one. So there could be some souls mixed in. A quick glance at this calendar, though. I don't really see a space where they could fit it in. Like, they could sneak it in here at the end, but I see we've got 1, 2, 3 Dungeon Divers. We've got 2 Champion Training and then a Champion Training Tournament. We definitely be due something with Champion Training towards the end of this, but a Champion Chase tournament that never overlaps with like a Hero's Path with summoning or anything like that. There's not a whole lot of space to squeeze in an event for Shyek within the fusion. Probably my most likely guess would be that we might see a Titan event at the end of this. That's my most likely thing, and that possibly from Thursday onwards, possibly from the Wednesday even, it's possible that these events could be part of a Titan event. That's just guesswork. We don't know for sure, but I could see that happening. Maybe for a soul for Kro'khad, and then they could do like a Deck of Fate as part of a Titan event, or a Hero's Path as part of the Titan event that would give access to Packmaster Shyek. They've said that they won't rerun like a fusion type event for Shyek, but they will be rerunning him. He's definitely coming back. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. You might want to try save some shards to carry over between that. For the Summon Rush itself, like, it's probably... It's hard to know. They've been pretty expensive recently. So the recent ones were like 11 shards, sacred shards to max it out. And then I can't remember, but it was maybe 6 or so, 6 or 7 to get the lower point. So I'd say something like that, 6 to 11 sacred shards for the Summon Rush. Just quite a bit. I'm just trying to think as well. I think our last 2x was for sacred shards. So we should be due 2x voids. So let me put in V with a question mark. You guys could let us know for sure. But 2x for voids, you're looking at, so let's work it out. I love this. I never remember, so I have it pinned in my Discord. Message from Erbad back in 2022. A void in a champion chase is about 100 points. I'd be guessing it's about 3,000 points is fairly standard to get all the fragments. So you'd be looking at about 30 void shards. Of course, though, with a 2x, let me minimize this. With a 2x event, with a champion chase tournament, you could get login champions, you could get previous fragment champions, you could summon Broadmaw fusions, Razin fusion, all that sort of stuff. So there's other ways to deal with it. But I would say, and the lower cost, it's probably like 10. Let's say like let's say like 12 to 30 void shards, something like that would be my guess for those. And I'll put in a sacreds there. So something like that. Summon Rush is obviously primal shards are typically pretty decent for it if you've got any. Void shards and sacreds are also pretty good. Ancient shards could be used as a bit of a backup for a champion chase tournament. Remnant summons as well. That's some if you've got any of those. So yeah, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, let's look at everything else and then we'll talk about it because again, typically the ones you're looking to skip are summon events or dungeon divers. Let's look at dungeon divers first. Mark those in red. We've got 3 of them. That's rough. 3 dungeon divers. They are 5 fragments each. Dungeon divers is just a huge energy sink, and there's no real trick to it. It's just you have to spend a bunch of energy. Basic campaign does a little bit, but mostly dungeons. So these are pretty high priority ones to skip as well, I would say. We'll look at how those overlap some other events, but we will just note that there are 3. Gear enhancement. That's in a type of event I wouldn't recommend skipping. There's 3 of them, which is a lot. Again, you just save your silver. It's all you can do. Save up your silver. Stockpile it. Don't upgrade gear outside of the gear enhancement. Probably about 15 million silver to 20. 15 to 20 million silver for each one. You can obviously pre-roll gear up. Like you could roll gear up to level 11. Be a good spot to stop, or level 15 and stop there and then have it ready to just tick over. You only get points for gear enhancement at levels 4, 8, 12 and 16, so you can wait 1 level below and do it. Most of the points being for level 12 and then most of them for 16. So yeah, you can do that sort of stuff, but about that much. You want a good chunk of silver saved up. Stop as soon as you get the fragments. It's kind of that simple. Oh, one thing I should definitely note before I forget. Tomorrow is CVC, and it is personal rewards. Personal rewards CVC. I should have shouted this out at the start of the video. But yeah, I will be streaming. So there you go. My first personal rewards CVC in my new clan with Cthulhu. So yeah, it's going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it. Always look forward to the CVC stream. So yeah, we'll be going pretty hard. We'll probably do some Titus shenanigans again. And stuff like that. We'll see. But yeah, personal reward CVC doesn't really matter too much with any of this stuff, unfortunately. There's not much overlap. In fact, Dragon is not particularly good to do during CVC, but you probably want to wait and do it during CVC anyway, unless you're really stuck for CVC, because you're kind of waiting for the dungeon divers to start to get maximum value. We can mark in a couple of easy ones as well. Let's go like a light blue for this. But Classic Arena, we've got 2 of them. One on Friday, then one the following Friday. Very easy, straightforward. I guess the only thing would be just watch out over the weekend. Make sure you're doing your Classic Arena battles. But those are basically 10 fragments for free, which is great. And yeah, then we come to the energy expenditure stuff. So we've got champ training. Let's mark that in, and let's get an orange or something. So we come over here. Let's do like an orangey. You got 2 champion trainings. I would say getting this done early is ideal. And then probably like something like this, right, would probably be ideal. Which means for the dragon tournament, we'll do like a darker yellow for it, I guess. I guess that's orange as well, eh? Let's do like a pink for dragon. Dragon, you could start today. I'd be looking to do it something like this. Yeah, it's a little tricky. Dragon Tournament, not something you would love to be doing during Personal Rewards CVC, to be honest. But it's a good time to be spending your gems to refresh your energy and just grind all this stuff like crazy. So yeah, I'd be more focused on champion training today. Just sort of do some basic stuff, not too worried about it. Build up some food champions, low level food, stuff that's tedious to grind, but it's not getting you lots of points. Then tomorrow, when personal CVC starts, that's when you're going to go a bit more hard and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to rank up the higher rank people. I can maybe slap some brews into some 5-star chickens or 5-star food champions, that sort of thing. Get a bunch of points. Grind dragon hard, get dungeon divers done, and then do whatever is best for you for personal reward CVC. So, for example, for me, probably be farming Sand Devil, and then come back and finish champion training perhaps on Thursday after personal reward CVC has ended. Sadly, it's not a tournament. You can get, obviously, CVC points for booking champions, but you only get points for champion training if it's a tournament for booking. So sadly, those don't overlap. You got the champ training tournament over here, which sucks. Okay, then we've got Ice Golem tournament. So you could absolutely do it here. And honestly, I feel like you kind of do this one at any point, really. If you still need it for Dungeon Divers, then yeah, it's a great one to do on the Thursday when it starts after Personal Word CVC. Hopefully you win. I guess half of you will win. Maybe more. You guys are hardcore, right? But yeah, you get the personal reward energy potentially, and that could help you farm Ice Golem. That could help you finish Dungeon Divers 1. And honestly, there's no reason not to do it. I'll put in like some dots here if you need to do it. And then honestly, there's no real reason not to do it at any point onwards. There will be a gap where there's no Dungeon Divers happening with this Ice Golem tournament, but at the same time, there will also be nothing for you to spend your energy on that's relevant to the fusion other than that. So I think there's no harm really in getting Ice Golem done during that gap. If it overlaps with Dungeon Divers 2, that's great, but you might as well do some of it with your free energy for the day, even when there's no Dungeon Divers, and then you can do a faster dungeon. Ice Golem typically pretty slow. I do have a pretty fast team, actually. You can check out my video, which was using Man-Eater for hard Ice Golem, though you need Marius or really good champs. But yeah, going into you can just do Dungeon Divers 2 with whatever dungeon you want. It does overlap with Spider, which is really nice as well. And honestly, Spider, you can kind of do at any point. We'll even just put in some gaps here so you can see. But yeah, looks sort of like that. I think it's pretty straightforward. And much like so, again, like there's a bunch of quite flexible, really. But you can see, yeah, the Ice Golem tournament. Yeah, great. There you are. If it overlaps Dungeon Divers 2, all the better. The Spider tournament overlaps a little bit of the end. We should probably, oh shit, we should make this maybe a little bit more clear, like that, something like that. But yeah, again, there's not really any harm in doing the Spider tournament when there's no Dungeon Divers on. I guess you might be focused more on the champ training at that point. So we'll put in a couple of dots just to break it up. In fact, let's make it more clear. Put in a couple of dots. There we go. That's a great spot for champ training. And honestly, you could do the champ training really at any sort of other point. Yeah, that's sort of it. What I will be doing day by day to break it down, we can see the stuff. Today, I'll be focused on champ training. For personal rewards CVC, I'll probably go pretty hard on both of them and try to get them mostly done. I'll prioritize getting Dragon done. I can finish the champ training event on Thursday if needs be. I'll just try to get Ice Golem done ASAP, pretty much. I don't personally see a reason to much wait for it. I can do Dungeon Divers 2 when that goes live. I'm not really too stressed. I can do that with the Kro'khad dungeon, so that's not too much stress for me. I'll be diving into champion training then as soon as that goes live. I'm sure I'll have finished Ice Golem much earlier, and if I've made good progress on Dungeon Divers 2, I don't mind doing champion training at all. Hop into Spider straight away. In fact, I'll put this in as a harder line. Hop into Spider straight away to finish off Dungeon Divers 2 if needed. Otherwise, I can delay. I can farm Spider super fast, so that's no stress. Get that farmed up in just a couple of hours or so. But yeah, the champion training is going to be the bigger focuses over multiple days and managing them. I'll just get Fire Knight done straight away whenever it comes out. And yeah, then finish off Dungeon Divers 3 with some event dungeon, most likely. And that's it. I think in terms of like what you're doing day to day, it's pretty straightforward, really. You know, just get your dungeon tournaments done pretty much whenever you can. overlap them with dungeon divers if it makes sense. But yeah, it's actually fairly straightforward, I would say, for the fusion. It's not too bad. Maybe I've just done so many of these. It seems not so bad. I don't know. But there we are. After the fusion, by the way, we would expect a non-personal reward CVC. Yeah, the big question for me will be, is there going to be a Titan event? If there's not a Titan event, there will definitely be some substantial event, which is very likely to require a chunk of energy, big chunk of summoning shards, possibly souls. Yeah, those would be the main things to watch out for. I would definitely expect some substantial stuff. Like, I do find that the one thing about this fusion for me again is they're super good together, but trying to get Kro'khad and his soul, and if you're trying to get Shyek and his soul as well, you're trying to get all of that stuff all together. That's really intensive. That's really tough. I would definitely advise Kro'khad's soul very highly over Shyek. The damage dealer is just going to benefit more. Shyek really does like the 5-star soul because you want to build him with high accuracy and preferably high resistance for Hydra as well, where they're very strong together. The reason you want him with high resistance, now his buffs are protected if Kro'khad's on his team. So you're not worried about his buffs being stolen all that much. Especially if your other buff champions have protection sets for Hydra. It's not so bad. But the Head of Mischief will still steal his turn meter, and that's really annoying. That's quite annoying. So it's better to have him with high resistance. Not essential, but it's better. The 5-star soul will really help you with that, but I would say it's very much a luxury. It definitely makes a difference, but it is a luxury. I think you can get away with Shyek not really having a soul at all or having a low soul. Of course, also note for Faction Wars Hard, for a lot of the dungeons these days as well, hard mode dungeons, etc., they have this added awakened weakness thing where the bosses just do more damage to you if you don't have a soul, and you do less damage. Now, doing less damage doesn't matter for Shyek at all, but taking more damage, a little bit annoying. He's going to be pretty tanky, though, so it's not too much stress. But yeah, it's you just really lower the gear requirements for Shyek if you've got a soul. It's nice, but not essential. Kro'khad, though, he's just going to do way more damage if you give him a soul, just plain and simple. So I definitely prioritize his soul over Shyek. I also think, I don't know, Kro'khad without Shyek's not that crazy, but he's solid. Shyek's a bit more unique. So if you said, Nub, you could have Kro'khad without Shyek or Shyek without Kro'khad for Faction Wars, I'd actually probably pick Shyek, to be honest. But the two of them together are just monstrously good for Faction Wars. So yeah, I think it's probably worth getting both of them if you can. I think if you had to choose between a soul for Kro'khad or getting Shyek, full stop, I would choose Shyek. I would try to get the two champions, goal number 1. Goal number 2, getting the soul for Kro'khad on top of that. And then goal number 3, the final piece would be getting a soul for Shyek. That's, I think, the lowest priority, though. So yeah, simply getting the champions, I think, is ideal. And yeah, seeing as we don't know how difficult it will be to get Shyek, I definitely prioritize getting Kro'khad for now, anyway. And then we'll see. You know, the Shyek thing might be just too difficult. It's a known quantity how much, well, roughly how much it's going to take to get Kro'khad. So I'd be sort of prioritizing to get Kro'khad. Probably will be a bit harder than Shyek overall, but, you know, you know how fusions work. You can plan for it. So there you go. I think that's everything to cover, probably in too much detail, but you get the gist right there. So look, saving up your shards. Yeah, I think that's really everything. It's a straightforward fusion. The question for me more so is what comes after. But definitely it's pretty high value. For me, again, just to finish on it, I think Shyek and Kro'khad are going to hard carry, for me, the end of Orcs, which has been a huge problem. They're going to just, like, I have so much to do in Orc hard faction wars. I've got, well, not so much to do, but I've got these final few stages. They're very difficult. I've only got a 1-star on live, and that was with a few hours of attempting stuff. I could do it. I can do it with the comp I have right now, but it's just very, very, very difficult. I went in with Kro'khad on the test server. I full autoed it 3-star on the first attempt. So, yeah, I mean, they are absolutely massive for that. There's no question. And I actually think that there's a pretty decent chance that they could come into a Hydra team as well. I think it could happen. Yeah. I mean, I've got a Trenda team, a Titus team. Then right now, my best would be a Ninja team. I'm curious to see how Kro'khad and Shyek compete against Mikage and Ninja. Certainly, if you don't have a really strong Titus team, because it's difficult to build, and if you don't have a really strong Trenda team, because it's difficult to build. Like Shyek and Kro'khad, they're super easy. They are easy, auto-friendly monsters for Hydra. That's a big thing about them. It's the easy mode, super chill, auto easy mode, and there's a lot to be said for that. So yeah, they're kind of legit. There you go. That's sort of my thoughts on it. Yeah, cool. Let me know. Are you doing the fusion? What's your plan? Which events are you skipping? For me, I'll probably plan to do everything. Maybe skip some of the champion chase though. I might skip some champ chase, to be honest, or the summon rush. I'll probably look to skip. It depends how expensive the summon rush is. I'm very, very low on sacreds. I've got 6, so I might just do the low investment summon rush and do the rest. The only thing about that for me is I prefer to skip stuff at the end of an event usually, because it means if I make a mistake and forget an event along the way, I've got a fallback option. And then I just don't skip the thing at the end if I missed one earlier. But I think probably skipping some of the summon rush is going to be a safer bet because of the potential for Titan events and Heroes Pass at the end. Right. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.